People are like that with the legal system, political system. It's normal in society. So we can see that there's trying to reason, but there's addictive and compulsive and obsessive elements still there, and there's a perversion of all things good, and the ego operates. There's still judgment at that level, and I was there too. So I know these levels. And so above that is where you become rational. You go into your thoughts and you become rational, ego-rational. You start realizing, hey, I'm blind following, hey, this is all kinds of, religious phony baloney, I'm buying it. These chaps are abusing spiritual teachings, I'm part of it. You realize these people are astray and you are astray with them. And you start thinking, no, I can see this is not good for me. So there's a rational thinking there, and you get to that level. I reached that level at a point in my life. It was in I remember the day I announced to people I will not be doing the things that the tribe usually does. Everybody just looked at me like, I said, I'm not gone mad. If you can't accept me, please tolerate me. But don't think I'm mad. I just chosen to drop everything. I had enough of following a system that's not seeming to nourish me. I remember that day. I'll be doing my own thing. I was afraid because I thought I was gone mad. I thought I was like, what's wrong with me? Leaving the tribe in terms of the ideologies and all that, going solo. You feel like you're going crazy. But actually, in your heart, now this is where you're moving closer to authenticity. You start realizing, hey, this doesn't feel right. I don't feel like integrous. I feel constrained. Now, people don't realize that when you go lower, it's very constraining. It's actually painful. When you're right at the bottom, when you're feeling contracted at that level, the predator, the prey, when you're the predator, we'll talk about the prey just now, right? So the predator and the parasite, it feels freaking horrible. That's why you try to relieve yourself from that pain of love not experienced in crazy ways. And even when you feel inferior and you're interjecting, it feels painful, it feels horrible, not feeling the flow. Or when you're in superiority, it's slightly better than inferiority, but you're into projection, it feels slightly better, but still pain. And then when you move up to like addiction, still pain, and you move up to compulsion, still pain. You don't realize it. You contract it. That's why at these levels you'll see sickness, disease in time. If it's unmediated by a teaching like this, it can destroy you. It can take you. You know what I mean? And obsessions, very obsessive, and then we talked about that intellectual ego self. It's not really you, it's a tribal ego self. It's a repressed child. It's very confining. I could feel something is not right as I was moving up. And I was choosing to allow myself. I was choosing to allow myself to say, no, I don't think so. When before that you're like, so now the guru is right, I must be a good child, I must follow the tribe, I must fit in. See, this fitting in business, this approval, so a need for approval, that although you might not be, if you're moving up, although you might not be, or you might not be addicted, you might not be compulsive, you might not be obsessive, but there's a social approval, and as you're moving up, that image. So that image, it might not be like, oh, look at me, right? It moves into look at us, or I fit in with everybody. fit in with everybody. I want to fit in. I'm scared to not fit in. I need the approval. I need the approval. So I got to the point where I said, fuck everybody's approval. This is not working out for me. And I took a risk. And I left everything that I knew behind. I wasn't doing the unconscious tribal self thing. And that's when you go into rational. This is where you start reading books and start thinking, okay, let me think for myself. What are other people saying? What are other points of view? All that sort of thing. You do the book reading, you do workshops, classes, whatever you start figuring out. I got to figure it out, And so here you can go into your own personal ego. From the tribal ego, you can go into your own personal ego. You might figure out, hey, you can make money, and suddenly you're like, okay, I'm going to read all the books about making money. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to succeed. So this is where you might leave the tribal mind, and then you have your own definition of success at that particular point. Still ego, but you might think, I'm not with the tribe anymore, and I'm me, and you know who I am, and this is what I'm going to do. And so there can be this kind of decision that you make at that level. I'm going to follow Buddhism. No, I didn't. But I'm going to follow this, or I'm going to follow that. So the person might leave a tribe to say, I'm going to start doing this, and I'm going to start doing that. And they might get involved in an ideology that they can lose themselves in that is a little bit more freeing. A little bit more freeing. There's a bit more choice here. Right? The person feels like, okay, so I'm not doing what I did growing up anymore, and I'm a big boy or big girl now, and I can see that there's this nice thing called, transcendental meditation or this, that, or the other. I'm going to get involved with these people. And that's where you can get stuck in groups of people, and you can join a negative cult. You can actually... Why it's negative is because it doesn't take you beyond that. It's still very much the human level. It's still very much with the world. You're still in the judgments that you have against yourself and other people. You don't know that there is a higher experience that you can have. So, let me just put this thing on a charge. Right. So, you don't know. You don't know that you are still not you. You're not into your sense of self. You can take on the role of a business person. You can lose yourself as a mother, father. This is my purpose in life now. And you might seem like, progressive. People might say to you, wow, you are, such a good mother, such a good father. You are such a good teacher. You are such a good... we've seen people like that who have been, in society looked at as really remarkable people, but they kill themselves, some of them, because there's no sense of self. There's this ego achievement. I am now with this group of people. We are, better off than other people. There's still a group thing. It might be as an individual, like I'm a capitalist now, and look, I'm in a role. The role kicks in. So once you get rational, you might start thinking for yourself in the sense of an ego, and then that's where you can get stuck there. I also went all these ways, so I know that, I am all about what? So the way forward is about, development and growth and all that sort of thing, in the sense that, other people are not into it, and now you got to be into it. You got to be into this thing, and it's all about don't be like other people, and we are these people, and we are these people, and this is what we do. Me and Deepak Chopra and Tony Robbins, and we are like this, and all that kind of bullshit, right? Belief system. So, above that, you start realizing that you got healing to do. You carrying these kind of beliefs and these emotions, and they are influencing your actions. You are largely reacting. You are not really acting. You're not really feeling secure. You're not connecting with yourself. You're not nurturing yourself. You're not letting yourself feel ease. You're not letting yourself feel joy. You're not letting yourself feel some issues you got. You got issues to heal. So that's when I went up to the next level. Issues to heal. Instead of being the guy who's helping the whole world and all that sort of thing, and I'm right and we right, and the world needs to be helped, and we're going to help the world and change the world needs changing, then you realize, hey, hold on, the world doesn't need changing, you need healing. Well, not need, but there's an option to heal. You can actually be attended to, and you can, you allow people to attend to. So you get the kind of support like what I'm offering here, where you let people support you. You're not just reading books on how to make money, or books on become a Buddhist or become a something and just do this thing. Now you're wearing a turban, or you're wearing a whatever, you join some group, or you're living as part of some kind of philosophy, thinking you're doing so well egoically. Now you realize, hey, there's learning to do about me. There's no learning about, what's the right way in the world. If the tribe is not the right way, what's the right way? There's learning about me, self-awareness, and becoming conscious of me. And so that's when I got into the healing kind of things, started realizing, what can I see about me? What do I believe? What beliefs do I have? What emotions control me? How's my behaviors? What's my point of attraction? Now, sometimes when people get into this kind of experience of healing, then they learn about like the law of attraction, and they learn about all these kind of things, and you can manifest and all that. So people sometimes they don't want to do the healing. When you start learning, let's just call it the human potential and spiritual actualization kind of teachings, right? In there, sometimes people get exposed to new age, new thought, and all that sort of thing. And so some of them get taken, right? They're gone. Next thing, wearing crystals and old wine in new bottles. So let's say it like this, that there are people who release the tribal identity and they take on a personal identity that's still part of some tribe, their role that they live by. And then they start learning more, and they realize there's more learning beyond that, and there's this learning of like personal development learning, spiritual growth learning. And when they get there, you'll find in the new age, all these kind of fake teachings and all that sort of thing. You get exposed to them, and the ego takes over, right? The ego starts thinking, wow, I'm going to use these crystals. The crystals are going to help me. This thing has power. I'm going to do this thing and that thing. And then you see people getting all excited, right? Let's smudge the house. And you can do all that. You can do all those things. You can keep crystals. You can do all those kind of things. I don't. But people do it. There was a time when I had crystals too. You would have the black obsidian and this crystal and that. I'm not saying there's nothing bad or good about it. I'm just saying that you get into this teaching, but you still start like the projection of power on things. And so you might think, but I'm not that capitalist anymore, or I'm not that person who was into Buddhism, or I'm not saying anything wrong about Buddhism. I'm just saying that somebody might have left a tribal way to pursue another way. They might have engaged that way as ego and joined another tribe. And now they might be realizing, hey, there's more learning for me, and now, I'm going to learn about like this amazing things about the human potential and all that sort of thing, spirituality. But they can get stuck into that new age, old wine in new bottles, and they can develop like, oh, we can manifest and we can do this and we are gods, and all that kind of thinking. You are God and I am God and everything is love. Sometimes people can go on psychedelics, psychedelic journeys and all the take substances and all that. So again, all that is like delving into this kind of expanded consciousness, but the ego's contamination is there. But sometimes, I was able to get through that very quickly and go deeper and realize, no, there's healing work to be done here. That let me not try and do a New Age bypass, they call it. New Age bypass is you don't have to do your healing work. You don't have to learn growing. You don't have to become self-aware. A lot of people, they don't want to become self-aware. They want to live unconsciously and subconsciously. They want to perpetuate their own lower perspectives. So once you make it through the danger zone in the new thought, where you get all excited and I can manifest and I can do this and I'm a god and you're a god and all that kind of thing, and all you got to just do is this meditation and that meditation and all that sort of thing. It's still an identity, still the ego doing it, unless the meditation is a real meditation that really assists you to go beyond your phantom self, that allows you to go beyond your mind, to step into your being. So the work at this level is, you start realizing your non-being, your identity, and as you start realizing your identity, you start realizing what you are. You're not your thoughts, and you're not your body, and you're not your beliefs, and you're not your emotions, and you're not your identity. You start realizing, maybe you get being on the bed or doing a deep relaxation exercises. You start really supporting, relaxing, easing up. Maybe you might do some like stress management course where they teach you to relax. And that's why I always encourage the doorway into this teaching, being on the bed, relaxation exercises, just going from your left brain into your right brain, like, because all the other stuff that I've been talking about is all left brain stuff. It's all left brain stuff. And there's a time when you get to like relax and ease up and you start going into your right brain, alpha brain wave patterns. And then you start experiencing a qualitative shift. You start realizing, hey, it feels different in me. It feels more relaxed and expansive. I'm not reactive as much as I used to be. I am more and more at ease. When you're more and more at ease, then your being can come forward. You're being at ease, and then you can be yourself. Now, once you start being at ease, and you stop trying to control things, you let things be, you practice allowance, you practice forgiveness. See, now you are really getting into the big game. Now you're really getting into the real thing that humanity is evolving into, expansion. A lot of people say it's the time of ascension. It's actually the time of expansion. So, that's where you realize there's ease and there's support, and you're not needy, and you start feeling different because you start feeling appreciative, grateful, thankful. You start feeling like non-needy. This is where a lot of people go into counseling. People in the everyday reality, they might go into counseling, or they might have a problem, and then they start realizing, hey, there's a role I'm playing in my experience. This is where people get introduced to the idea you create your own reality. This is a high level awareness from where right at the bottom as we move up. We're realizing we are beings, And either we are unconsciously creating our reality or we can consciously create. Once you start realizing I can influence how I feel, like I can experience ease, and you go multidimensional, you start realizing, wow, what is ease? I remember the first time I felt it, ease. I was like, whoa. Like what was that? So when you start experiencing ease, you become more and more present. You become more and more aware. You start experiencing being. That's where you can feel love and allowance and acceptance and appreciation. That's where the valuing starts. Now you are really at the higher levels. You're beginning the higher levels of consciousness. This is where there's expansion. This is where you are really supporting the undoing of the phantom self, the lower perspective and the lower perceptions. This is where you have a peace consciousness. So I started experiencing ease, I started teaching ease, I started teaching people to be more and more at ease. In any situation, let it be, let it continue to be. Practice patience. God is with those who are patient. God is with those who are patient, the Quran tells us. Call upon God with patience and prayer. Tells us, what I mean. Now you start realizing there's an intelligence greater than your own. You are not really the intelligence you didn't know. This is where you start realizing there's a you that is not real and it can be submitted, that you can submit. So the more you practice ease, the more you practice allowance, and you reach a point where you realize the I that I've been thinking I am is not the real I, it's a phantom I. You start realizing that I was a phantom, but what I am is aware. And that's when you start becoming God conscious, really, really, really becoming God conscious. That's where you really, really, really become God conscious. That's where you start realizing there's an intelligence greater than you, beyond this world, because of whom this world is, because of whom you are. That's when you start having a relationship with God. That's when you are grounding yourself in your multidimensional self. That's where I am. Grounding myself in the multidimensional. Now once you start stepping into the multidimensional, it's a beautiful thing. You can start being loving, compassionate, kind. You can start becoming godly. You start realizing I can create my own reality. You recognize everything is given. Everything is given. Nothing is missing. Nothing is lacking. You start realizing I can see and say a thing and it becomes. This is now amazing, right? Because you have expanded into your real self. You're connecting with your true self. Meaning you're not needy, unworthy anymore. You're not being an addict. You're being an adult. You're not really, living as a victim. You're being a vicegerent of God. You in the multidimensional, and you're realizing, yes, you have been given the ability to energize already given potentials and possibilities, and they can become. You're now living in awareness that you are the creator of your reality, and consciously you will begin to start creating your reality. This is where you're connected with your feeling, you're feeling secure, you're feeling that well-being, that peace consciousness that we've been talking about, we're going to talk about. This is when you know everything is okay, that you're okay, everything is okay. Here you have that fifth dimensional, fourth density awareness, that I'm awareness and experiencing, flow, expansion, connection. I'm okay, everybody is okay, everything is okay. How cool. It's amazing.